All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Parents versus Gaming. As you can see, if you're watching on the video right now, you can see Jay is a little bit all over the place because he is driving, so he's actually switching seats. He's muted right now if he's trying to talk, but he's switching seats so he can actually do this podcast with us. We're not live anymore, but the recording schedule is still a little bit crazy. So let me introduce the panel real quick. Like I said, this is episode 28. We are recording on October 12th. It's going to release this Friday as I'm taking off to Ohio. But let me introduce the panel for those starting to get to know our regular cast. We've got Miss Kia Kane.
Hello.
And then we've got the U.S. Bobber, Jay Nuller. Jay, how are you?
Bro, I'm good. I have a chauffeur now, and I'm ready to do this, so we are safe. We are not violating any sort of road rules, and I'm not going to get a ticket, which my wife would kill me for. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Wow. We are definitely all over the place, that's for sure.
Literally, physically, mentally.
Are we being responsible?
I mean, loose term, right?
What is the rule? Only break one law at a time?
Yes.
So, break one law at a time. You won't get arrested. You'll be fine.
Is that what we're selling ourselves?
Yeah.
Hey, that's what we're gonna go with. So let's talk, man. Let's get this going.
Let's talk. Let's get it going for sure. So let's jump into it a little bit. Jay, for camera purposes, if you could just tilt yourself a little bit to the right.
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
he's centered, Kia. Look at him.
Right
Look at him. This is video editing on the fly as well. So much for recording and fixing it later. But thank you guys so much for being here. Let's jump right into our topic. Big news out of I don't know if this was Japan or this is in the I'm not even 100% where this is. But a school implements a Pokemon agreement that they forced all their students to sign, right? So basically, this agreement, it's regards to trading and having Pokemon cards in general at the school. So let me just read what this agreement says, and I can see all their signatures all over it as well. But it says you can only have Pokemon cards out during recess time. No stealing Pokemon cards. Only trade a GX for a GX and the EX for an EX, unless the other person is fine trading whatever. Wow, this teacher knows a little too much, probably. Make fair trades. Don't follow the GX or EX rules unless you want to. If you lose your Pokemon cards, don't make a fuss, but you can look for them during recess. If you break one of these rules, don't blame it on somebody else. So when I first read that there was this Pokemon rule policy, I thought it was kind of ridiculous. The teacher was getting out of hand. But this is actually, as I'm reading it, it's actually kind of funny. Like,
it's a pretty solid outline too. That's pretty serious to know what EX and GX, and the fact that those can absolutely just throttle somebody if you get them out of your deck early. A little bit about myself: my son and I play Pokemon, and so I'm actually James. You might not know this, but I'm actually pretty well versed in the Pokeverse as far as decks and values and everything else. So, yeah. No, I'm feeling it. So no, I'm a big fan of the whole series and everything. And my son and I actually play against each other to have a little bit of quality time.
Now it says here, according to Quick, our researcher, he did a little bit of research here. He says the GX or EX rules are being referred to involve the loser of a Pokemon game having to reward the winner a prize. I didn't know that. I thought they were just different categories.
That's what I wanted to point out when you said that, because I was like, that's what the rule is when you lose, you gotta,
Well, it's just crazy because, James is old. So, I want to just kind of frame this up for him as this would be like the equivalent of like Pogs Did you ever do
Pogs.
Pogs?
You know,
Oh
I
my
did Pogs a little
God,
bit, but you know, it's
Pogs.
funny. It's funny, Jay, that you think that I don't know much about Pokemon. Now, I'm basically Gen 1 Pokemon, right? I didn't keep up with after Gen 1. I didn't really get huge into the cards, but I knew enough about Pokemon. You know, I was a preschool teacher for a while, and then I worked in kids camps and all that. So if you want to have conversation with these kids, especially the way I work, you got to know, you really got to know what the heck is going on. So I'm really versed in it. And then on top of it, we'll get into it in a minute. Don't even get me started on my life for Pokemon Go. Like I brought the craze to the area that I was at. So before we go too far, I kind of want to know what you guys think. You know, what's your opinion on, you know, kids doing the Pokemon card trading? You know, as far as like Jay, you and I, when we were in school, baseball cards obviously were super popular. Everyone wanted to bring their favorite baseball card, and man, did I make some swindle moves back in the day. I traded a Sid Beam personalized card that I had mailed off that he signed to a buddy because I knew I was going to a Reds game the next day and sitting near the Griffey family because my parents would take me to a lot of Reds games, and I got a card signed by Griffey Jr. and Griffey Sr.
Oh, wow.
after the game, and they're in the Mariners jersey. So,
oh yeah, the one where he's like got his arm up on his shoulder.
yeah, so I traded this autograph card. Everyone thought they swindled me, but little did they know I was taking that card to the game the next night to get it signed by the two of them.
Oh.
So that was cool. But what do you guys think, Kia? We'll start with you. What do you think as far as bringing the cards? Or you know, is that something you worry about with your kid?
Not really. Mostly because I homeschool, but
yeah, true.
I don't know, you know, because I like it's one of those things. Like I never got real big into it. But I know like my younger brothers, they were real big into it. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but do you guys remember when McDonald's did the Pokemon cards and they did the gold-plated cards that you could get in the McDonald's place? Okay, so my brother was big on it, and he got some. Well, of course, I got one as well because I was a kid. And I remember he wanted Charizard so bad, like so bad. And guess who got it? Me. And
Charizard's a badass.
He was like, "Sis, please give it to me. Please give it to me. Please give it to me." And I'm like, "No, it's fine." He was so upset. He's like, "But you don't even play Pokemon." I was like, "So?" I was like, "You want it? So I'm gonna keep it," because I was a mean big sister sometimes. I did. I think I eventually gave it to him, like later, but and I think he still has it to this day. So we still have those little Pokemon cards. But I was never real big into it. But I know like my brothers, and they would bring their cards, and I don't see it being a problem. Like especially if they lay out those rules, like you can only do this, you know, during recess. You know, no, and like there's so many, like nowadays kids have such ease of access to the internet. You know, it's like it's easy for them to look up the values of cards and check things out and the rarity of them and stuff like that.
And you know what? I don't want to jump into that yet because Jay hasn't spoke. So I'm going to come back to what you just mentioned there, Kia. Jay, your just kind of initial take on the whole concept, and if you think it's a problem or you think it's just kids being kids and this is the thing they're into.
Look, it's kids being kids. I mean, seriously. I mean, the guy with, I mean, even before every trade, I don't know if you ever did this, James, but with football cards, because that was what I was into, we always had the Beckett. And we always had the latest one that had the trade values on it, and you'd figure it out, and, you know, you'd kind of work together on it. But, man, can we just say, like, good on the school for not overreacting? Because people are going to get, you know, they're kids, right? Mm-hmm. Kids are going to, you know, try to hose each other. Some kids are going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to trade my, you know, Charizard EX or whatever the hell it is, my foil for your card just because I like Mew. You know, because some kids aren't going based on value. Some guys are just going off of, you know, like you said with your brother and stuff. Like, I just like Charizard. I want all the Charizard. But, like, just good on the school for just being like, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. We don't want to just ban it because a lot of schools do overreact with Pogs, with slap bracelets, with, It's everything from scrunchies to everything else. And they just overreact, and they just said, okay, you know what? We're having a lot of problems with it. Okay, we're done. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see a bag. I don't want to see a box. I don't want to see a binder. I don't want to see anything else. Good on them for having somebody who clearly knows what they're doing. Like, just lay out some ground rules so everyone can participate.
Yeah, no, I that's definitely true.
I agree. I'm glad that they didn't overreact, because I know a lot of times that happens.
Absolutely. And let me jump back to you, Key, on what you just brought up, because, our fancy researcher we got now, and I want to make sure Jay is listening before I say this, because I definitely want his take. But Quick goes on to talk about how, the streamers, the internet, having the internet now, back in 99, 2000, when Pokemon kind of came out, there wasn't internet. You didn't have these famous YouTubers and streamers. And I mean, there are content creators. Here we are trying to make, a podcast channel, and we could have just done what the value of a Pokemon card is. These people get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views a day. So he's talking about how today, and you mentioned it, Kia, kids can easily look up on the internet what a card's value is. With the baseball cards, we had to look at a Beckett. It was a lot of kind of research you had to do. But now it's just simple. You just look at whatever your famous streamer is. Now, this YouTuber streamer community, they actually have the ability to change the way a card can be valued, right? On whatever they think is popular, because their community is so big. So my question to you guys is not that that's a problem, but Pokemon, I think, kind of brought the craze in of the card game. You had Magic the Gathering, and that was a little bit more intense, but Pokemon was just fun for kids. And yeah, sometimes you lost a card, but sometimes, I would see the kids at the school, they would trade for a card that I knew wasn't as valuable as the other one, because you could tell. But that other kid that's trading for it, the card he's getting back genuinely is his favorite Pokemon, right? So he doesn't care that he's giving away the value. So do you guys think that the internet and the way that they value these cards has taken a lot of the fun out of the game, where the kids are so worried about the value and whether they're getting swindled? Or, do you think that's a problem?
I think, honestly, I think for kids, like, say my son's age, 6, 7, I think honestly for them, it's just I want that Mewtwo. You can take my Charizard, because I know that's what you want, and I want the Mewtwo. So we swap it, and they're both extremely happy. They don't care which one's more expensive or which one has more value. I think honestly, when it comes to the value thing, that's more of like teenagers and adults. Those are the ones who are like, oh, well, that's a really valuable card. Don't give that card away. Other kids are just like, I don't care. I'm not here for the money, because they don't plan on selling that card. They want to trade it. They want to trade and get whatever their favorite card is. Okay.
And Jay, what about you? What do you think?
Sorry.
Well, and it's also a challenge too, because I've made, personally, with football cards or with something else, like, I've traded some more valuable cards than what I was getting back, because I was completing a set. Or this was the last, like, in the Pokemon thing, like, sometimes there are cards that are incredibly a pain in the ass to try to get. You can't find them. They're worth 25 cents. And you run across somebody in their binder that has that card. You sit there and you go, you know what? F it. I will get another Charizard, or a Mewtwo, or, whatever it is, and be able to sit there and go, you know what? Screw it. I can't find this damn thing. Like, I'm going to go ahead and make that trade. And I think, done correctly, like, kind of what they've outlined is it gives students a great kind of outline for how things, morally should be done, ethically, if you want to say that, but gives them the guidance of, hey, both people have to think it's fair. We're not intentionally hosing people here. We're not going to lose our cards, and it's going to prevent a lot of headaches for the teachers and administration and everything, without creating this like black market. Because anytime I've ever seen anything banned from school when I was in it, like, instantly,
People
you just
found a
didn't
way to
see
bring
it out
it.
in the open. It didn't go anywhere. Like, I still brought the same stuff. And also, for the viewers that are a little bit younger, A Beckett was a magazine that you held in your hand, and you opened it, and it had paper in it that actually explained like what the prices were and what was going up and down, and it was our version of Google. And so there was always a kid,
I mean, it
and
really
it was usually like the rich, the rich kids always had a subscription, and it came out every single month. Now, the interesting thing that kind of ties in with the YouTube is the prices slowly and deliberately rose, and it wasn't this like rocket. Like, James, you and I play Call of Duty, and we always talk about the meta.
Yeah.
And it's always like the latest hottest shit, right? And so we were talking about like, oh, the nail gun. Like, everyone wanted the nail gun because it was overpowered and blah 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 blah. But when we were collecting cards, like, nothing moved very quickly. Like,
No,
it
not
would
at
go
all.
up 25 cents or $2. I mean, that was a big jump, was $2. Like, oh my God, this guy's going to be an all-star, like on a rookie card. But now it seems like the Pokemon, like, oh my God, and it's driven by the players, right? These YouTube streamers that actually play, they tournament, they're doing the table game thing, and they go, oh my God, this card is so overpowered right now. You have to have it in your deck. All of a sudden, within a couple weeks, the price on it just skyrockets. But then the flip side is, all of a sudden now they go, oh, and the powers that be go, oh my God, this card is so overpowered. It's axed from all tournaments. So you've now traded for this card that's now worth $10-15. They go, oh, non-tournament play, boom, and the thing drops.
Yeah.
And you're talking within weeks now, as opposed to like with the cards previously, like the sporting cards and stuff like that. It was a lot slower. It was a lot more gentle. It was the things weren't there. So, man, if you're a card trader, like, man, that's brutal. That is brutal if you're building decks and you're building just collections and stuff based purely on price.
Yep. Another thing is, like you said, collections. Like, some kids, they'll trade something. Like, say the Charizard Mewtwo thing. There's nothing saying that kid doesn't have one back at home. Like, have another Charizard just chilling back at home. So it's one of those things. Like, he probably has the exact same card chilling at home, and he's just like, yeah, I'll trade you, no problem, because he still has that card back at home. But it's just like with anything, if it gets banned at school, kids will find a way to bring it to school and still do what they want to do. It's just part of how kids are. I mean, take it when cell phones started becoming real big. I can't tell you how many times there were kids that had cell phones at school, even though they weren't supposed to. And some teachers knew it, and their big thing was, as long as it was on silent and you weren't messing with it in class, they didn't care. Now, I didn't get a cell phone until I was like a junior in high school, and I had to pay for that. And the only reason I was allowed to have it was because I ran track. So I was at things after school, and my mom needed a way to get a hold of me, and I needed a way to get a hold of her. So she knew when to come pick me up from practice or meets or whatever. But I didn't get one until I was like 17 years old. And I had to pay for it, which meant I had to get a job. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. And a lot of times, usually, is when you ban it, it becomes even more popular because the kids are like, oh, we're going to
because they can't do it.
Because they can. I remember there were tons of when uniforms happened here at our public schools. I remember when it happened because the next year I was used to free dressing. Next year, my mom had to turn around and buy uniforms for 5 kids, and they're like, "It'll be cheaper." My mom's like, "Excuse me, what?" Maybe for that person that's got 1 kid, but. I can't tell you how many kids I would go to school, and they're like, oh, yeah, you got pants from Walmart. We got pants from Aeropostale. Okay, cool for you.
Right.
Or, we got pants from American Eagle. Okay, good for you. Like, kids will still find a way to single other kids out. It doesn't matter. Like, I know, like, there was a thing that was brought up. I think it was something about, like, kids that are going to have more money, they'll have access to buying more cards, which means they'll have access to eventually get the cards that they want, versus kids that are on the poorer spectrum that won't have access to that stuff.
You know, it's funny how you talk about the, singling out kids. I think about this often. You know, when you're in school, you want the latest and greatest, and you want the pants from this place. But now, somebody will be like, "Oh, Kia, that's a really nice top. Where did you get that?" And you're like, "I got this at Target." Like, you're excited that you got, like, now it's like exciting to say.
I'm a girl. It's got pockets.
It's just funny how it changes over time. Something we talked about on Sunday's podcast, Jay, we talked a lot about the New World game that came out and how people were scamming people out of gold, right? And it was a big hoopla about how it's scamming. And you made the comment of, it's kind of like real life. It's a lesson. At least it's a lesson without losing your real money. Now, I know Pokemon cards cost real money, but on the flip side, again, this is supposed to be fun and it's a game. If it turns out a kid kind of gets swindled, as far as a parent, wouldn't you just look at this as a learning opportunity for your kid? Like, hey, if you're gonna play this, you need to do a little bit of research. You need to find out what you think your things are worth, and also remind them that, and you mentioned this before, what's valuable on the internet, especially these Pokemon cards, might not be as valuable to that individual person. You might be trying to complete a set. You might be trying to get all the different versions of a certain Pokemon, and it may mean you ditch a card. So don't you just look at this as a good way to kind of parent them in their world and something that they understand, an opportunity?
Yeah. I find sometimes, like with Kane teaching him lessons, I know that sometimes it helps if I can, like, bring something that he loves into it and be like, okay, well, you know how this, like this game, you like this character, but this happens. So it's like, it's bringing it to their level. Like, if you can get to that level and explain it, a lot of times they'll pick up on that lesson a lot faster than if you just sit there and yell at them for it or just feel like, oh, well, sometimes it helps if you can get to their level and just explain it to them. Like when Kane, teaching him not to hit when he was like really little. It's like, well, you don't like it if someone hits you, do you? No. Okay, well then don't hit other people. And he's just like, oh, okay. Like, just made sense that way. Like, instead of just going, oh my God, don't hit. He's like, oh, okay. So if I hit, oh, okay, like that, it clicked in his brain. Like it made more sense to be like, hey, well, if you don't like this, don't do it to other people. So sometimes it just helps if you can stoop down a little bit and get to their level. Sometimes. I mean, not all kids works that way. Not all kids work that way. But
now, before we close off this episode, I want to go through a little story roundup. So Parker, my son, he's only 16, 17 months old at this point, so he doesn't really have opportunity to be trading things in and out. But I'm sure at this point, your kids, Jay, and your son for you as well, Kia, have done something where they've traded something or got, what's a story, from one of your kids, Jay, that maybe they got swindled or they swindled someone else on something where they thought they got the better of them?
Well, it's, as a parent, sometimes you do have to take a step back before you jump all over somebody, because he has traded Pokemon cards before with his cousins and that. And it's kind of the reason why I brought up what I did earlier is, he traded a foil something or rather for some Pikachus. And Pikachus are a dime a dozen, right? I mean, they're super cheap. And I sit there and I go, Jaden, why did you trade for some Pikachus? He goes, well, Dad, it's, 6 different versions of Pikachu. And he had like a Christmas one and like a costume one, and then there was the different artwork on the cards and everything else. And so it took me a second to just go from, oh, you just traded away a $7 card, $10 card for 6 dime cards. But the reason why you did it was because you're a big fan and you wanted to complete as many pieces of the artwork as possible. There was a bunch of different versions on it. So, I don't know if I would necessarily, if you look at just the dollar value, yeah, he got hosed. But if you look at it from a collector standpoint where he just wanted to have a bunch of Pikachus, and that's what his thing was at the time, is he was really big into Pikachu, then, it's fine. Like, once he explained it, I was like... So
he kind of got swindled, right, but he had a reason for it.
Right. So is it really being swindled if he's sitting there going, no, I think it's a great deal. I don't care what the value is. So, Okay, perfect example. What a lot of people's dream car is like a 68 Mustang. They're not that damn expensive. But it's a dream car. They're hard to find. Would you trade your Nissan Sentra for a 68 Mustang? Oh my God, yeah, that'd be fantastic. It's there's two different monetary values, but if you grew up loving a 68 Mustang, that is your damn car, then it's a no-brainer. You're getting into what you want.
Yeah, Kia, any funny stories you've had yet with Kane on?
And
it doesn't have to be Pokemon, it could be anything.
Like that, as far as it was between Kane and his dad, Josh, my husband. It was about candy too, so it was great. It was great. Josh had asked him, he's like, well, can I have just one piece of your candy? You have, you have 3 pieces of candy. Can I just have one? And Kane's like, yeah, I guess. And then he gives him 2. And he's like, well, what? I only asked for 1 piece. And he's like, it's okay. You can have 2. And I was like, oh boy. Okay. Well, Josh proceeds to eat it. And then Kane starts freaking out because he's like, why did you candy? And he was like, well, you gave it to me. You told me it was okay. But Kane didn't realize that Daddy wanted his candy to eat it. He just thought he wanted to look at it. I guess. He was so upset because he was like, that's not even fair. Josh is like, well, I'll give you. He was like, no. Like, Josh even offered him money. Like, he was like, I'll give you some quarters. And he's like, no. I was like, dude, take the money. But he was like so upset because he was just like, wait, what? Like, wait, you weren't supposed to eat my candy. Like, give it back. Like, poor kid.
Well, final thoughts. We'll go around the room real quick. Jay, and then we'll get to Kia. Any reason parents should worry about schools shutting down the Pokemon ring, or should they worry about their kids going off the handle on this? Or is this just the thing that's hot right now, and you got to look at it as whatever you were collecting back in the day, whether it be Matchbox cars, Hot Wheels, or baseball cards?
It's all the same thing, right? Every generation's going to have their own things. It was slap bracelets. It's been Pogs, football cards, baseball cards. It's Pokemon cards now, Magic the Gathering. Kids are always going to want to collect something that's a real small price that they can get a lot of, that they can hang out and interact with their friends. So no, it's just flavor of the week, right? Because you could scratch out this agreement and say Magic the Gathering and, change all Pokemon to Magic the Gathering cards and have the exact same thing, or baseball cards or whatever. I mean, my kid's gone through a whole bunch of stuff since he's been in school. So no, I don't say worry about it. I would definitely say, it's a great opening for conversations about value and trading and, making sure you put a good deck together, because you don't want your cards disappearing, but you still want to be competitive. So, lots of good conversations can come from it.
Oh, for sure. And Kia, you think anybody needs to worry, or?
No, I'm in agreement with Jay on this one. I feel like it's just kind of one of those things. It's something kids are gonna do. It's something kids are gonna do. Just like you said, Pogs, slap bracelets. I think one time jelly bracelets were a huge thing. I don't even remember. It was like after I was out of school, but I remember some kids talking about it. And they're like, oh, I got all these jelly bracelets. I'm like, good Lord, how do you like go all the way up their arm? And I'm like, why? But it was big then. That's what they did. They're all gonna have every generation's gonna have their thing that they collect. Pokemon cards just happen to be coming back. I mean, it is what it is, and I think it's a good way to teach kids value and stuff like that as well. So I think just let kids be kids. It'll be okay.
I like it. I like it. Well, everybody, that was the end of our episode this week. Now, don't forget, next week, we're going to dive into the holiday shopping guide as the Xbox consoles and the PlayStation consoles start to become available. Now you've got a new type of Nintendo Switch. You've got this thing from Steam called a Steam Deck. There's all kinds of things out there. So we're going to kind of go through and give you a buyer's guide on what you should get, why you should get it, what the best value is, and which version of a console you might need, and it might depend on what kind of equipment you have at home that they're going to play the console on. So, or maybe you jumped into a PC type of thing. So we'll kind of go over that next week. That'll be our episode there. So on behalf of Jay and Kia, I'm James. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys.